we use some different speeds. And again, I apologize for going fast, but we have red where we actually will huddle. This last season, we huddled very, very little. We're not nearly as good of a football team when we huddle. In fact, our kids have the slogan, they always say, life's too short to huddle. And that's kind of the thing we say, hey guys, we got moving, life's too short for this. Yellow is our normal pace where we're going no huddle, and we're just not rushing it. There's not a panic or a sense of urgency, but we're going no huddle. Green, we're going as fast as we can, and you can see, yellow, we try to have the play clock at about 12 to 15 seconds. Green, 3 to 8 seconds. We will still motion and shift in green. However, when we're really trying to go fast green, we'll just line up and snap the ball, and we'll go from that. And then finally, Jimmy John's is something we do every year, and the kids really, really like it. It is a set 4 plays. The kids pick them. I have veto authority when they're making the plays up, but they pick 4 plays that when we call Jimmy John's, regardless of the situation of the game, those 4 plays are coming. And they're coming boom, boom, boom. Now, if I want to change them, you'll see me jumping up and down the sideline because all of a sudden we're in a situation where it's bad. That happens. But Jimmy John's it's been outstanding at the end of a half. Really just to change up when teams think, oh my gosh, they're going fast. It's an extra gear, and it just helps us out. And really, the big thing as a coach, since we started doing this, is I spend so much time yelling at officials to go faster that I don't have time to yell at my players anymore because I might as well tell the officials to go faster. But that's just one of those things. We're constantly trying to go faster because, like I said, we're better when we go faster. And our kids like the swagger they get to have when they get to go fast. They see the other team really. Before I get to this last thing, one more thing about the tempo that's really important to know is, like I said earlier, we've got a lot of really, really good coaches in our conference. I've faced some really great coaches in playoffs. And the thing is, I figured out when we made this switch, I had to stop trying to beat the smart men across the field, and I had to focus on beating the 16 to 18-year-olds on the field. And what we're trying to do by our tempo is we are trying to create as much anxiety they can have on that field. We want them to be stressed beyond belief, both physically and mentally. And that's why we do it. And that's also why we're not as good when we slow it down, because suddenly now the coach gets to actually get in the defense he wants to be in, make the adjustments he wants to be in. And we want to create that stress because we won't operate well in that stress. But it's worked really well for us. So not only being up-tempo, but we still try to do a lot of things. And here's something else. If you don't know Jeff Rosemeyer is the head coach at Colby High School. He was there for a lot of years. He's actually being inducted in the WFCA Hall of Fame this year. He's a phenomenal football coach, great guy. If you ever want to talk wing tee, he knows it like nobody's business. But he sat me down a couple of years ago at a clinic we were talking, and he said, Jeff, I have to be honest. There's no way you can do what you do without breaking all the WIA rules. He said, there's no way. And Jeff's a great guy. And I said, Jeff, that's why it's so cool what we do, because our philosophy with our program, not just with our kids, but also with my coaching staff, is we tell our kids and my assistant coaches, we're not an a la carte rule team. And what I mean by that is I don't teach and I don't want our offensive line coach teaching our O-line to ever hold. I don't want our receivers or our DBs ever doing something that's against the rules. Because a lot of coaches will say, yeah, call that, that's not going to happen. We don't want that. Because we're going back to the first thing that we're about our culture, about how our kids do things. I don't want our kids on a Saturday night or a Friday night trying to decide which rules apply to them and which ones don't. If there's a rule, we abide by it. And that's what I'll go through too as we're talking about our practice planning, is that we do it when we do it within the rules of the game. I actually showed Jeff how we did it, and he said, I'm getting too old for this. And I feel bad because Jeff retired this last year, so I hope I didn't have an influence on that, because he's a great football coach. But we install our offense in 3 days, and it's a lot. there are a lot of formations, a lot of plays, and I'm not gonna sit here and lie. We change things and tweak things throughout the year because our kids get bored. So we're always, so we're a different team by week 9 than we are week 1. Because we just got to keep the kids' interest, we got to make sure they're not getting bored, just going through the motions. But a number of years ago, I read an article by Dana Halverson, and at the time he was at Oklahoma State as the offensive coordinator, but he's the head coach at West Virginia now. And he basically said in this article that any offense worth its weight should be able to be completely installed in 3 days. And when I read it, I was like, there's no way. Because we were a team back then when we did our eye stuff, that we would be in weeks 1 and 2, and I would, as a play caller, say, well, I wish we had this in now. I wish we had gotten to this. But we do it in 3 days. And the kids just hold on and do what they can. And then on the 4th day, we start over. Now when we do this, we're a 9 through 12 program, and I mentioned earlier that we have 9 coaches, 4 of them, including myself, is paid. And what we did is we took our freshmen and we say, you're going to practice with us all the time. We're going to have other plays, other people are going to practice with us so that we can make sure we have the coaches to do what we want to do. Because we also want the freshmen to be ingrained in our culture so that they see how things are and what they're supposed to be like. But I encourage you to look that up, just Google it up, and you'll see the article. It's really a great thing, but it really made me change what and how we did things. I have a lot of freshmen and first-year players that want to quit after the first day or 2 of practice. And they want to quit because they are so lost. But I was talking with Coach Gale earlier about contact days, and I wish there was a great, easy way to use contact days. Our kids are like everybody else's. We half don't show up. We try to get them there. We try to, we don't require things because they're high school kids, and I believe they have to have time in their lives to be high school kids. But we strongly encourage them to be there. And we say, if you don't come, you'll be behind. You have to understand that.